Welcome to episode 55 of the State of the Market for Law Firm Sales in 11 Minutes. My name is Jeremy Pook and I lead Senior Attorney Match. Today is part two of our series on the top 5 mistakes to avoid before selling a law firm. And today we'll be going over 3 of the 5 of those top 5 mistakes to avoid before selling a law firm. So let's jump right into it and take a look at what are those top 5 mistakes to avoid. The top 5 mistakes to avoid before selling a law firm consist of the following. First is to avoid waiting to sell too long. That is just waiting too long to sell your law firm. The second of the top 5 mistakes to avoid is to assume that your internal successors want to purchase your practice. The third of the top 5 mistakes to avoid is to underestimate Google post 2020 with respect to business development. The fourth of the top 5 mistakes to avoid is to overlook converting subject matter knowledge to digital marketing content. And the fifth of the top 5 mistakes to avoid is to hope that tomorrow will continue to look like today. So now let's look at the third. Let's now look at mistake number 3 to avoid before selling a law firm, which is underestimating Google for post 2020 business development. So that mistake number 3 to avoid before selling a law firm is to underestimate Google for post 2020 business development. And when it comes to underestimating Google, we really need to recognize that consumer behavior pivoted, shifted, changed forever in 2020. That is, pre 2020, new clients for law firms would consistently make phone calls, ask in that word of mouth era of who do you recommend for a lawyer to hire. Post 2020, where the entire world, really, our society in particular, they shifted digitally to be relying on Google for anything and everything. And that now applies to lawyers, law firms, and the legal industry generally, where today's consumers for legal services, that is clients, they look to Google first in terms of searching for a lawyer or a law firm to hire. We're often saying that Uncle Google has become America's greatest referral source for lawyers. And when it comes to the impact of that mistake of not relying upon Google and recognizing the importance of digital marketing to develop new clients for law firms today, what we're seeing among senior attorney-led firms is that they're just not replenishing their books of business as much as they did in yesteryear. And if you're not replenishing your book of business, unfortunately, that mistake will lead to the value of your law firm decreasing in value because that book of business is not replenishing as much as it did in the word of mouth era. And your law firm, as a result, will be worth less in the marketplace. Mistake number 4. The fourth mistake to avoid when it comes to selling your law firm is to overlook converting subject matter knowledge to digital marketing content. So in terms of that fourth mistake, what we're recommending to senior attorneys is to avoid overlooking converting your subject matter knowledge to digital marketing content. And here, what we're pointing out to senior attorneys and senior attorney-led firms is that you're really sitting on what we call 3 treasure chests of digital value. That is, senior attorneys are mostly attorneys that have practiced more than 30 years. And over the course of decades of practice, they've developed subject matter knowledge in 1, 2, 2+ practice areas. Well, that subject matter knowledge today really is untapped value in terms of converting that subject matter knowledge into digital content. That same subject matter knowledge that you share with clients and with prospective clients, well, today it can appear in in the form of digital content in terms of LinkedIn posts. It can be e-newsletters that can be sent via constant contact to your clients. It can appear as videos on YouTube, Facebook posts, on podcasts, blogs, tweets, even on TikTok. What's the importance of that digital content, of converting that subject matter digital content, is that today's clients are searching for lawyers online. There's been that shift in consumer behavior post 2020. And because of the shift in consumer behavior post 2020, where clients today are looking for their lawyers online, the importance of converting that subject matter knowledge to digital content, we'll show that in our next infographic, is that clients today are searching for lawyers and law firms online, and they want to know, like, and trust their attorneys by performing those digital searches. The digital search, of course, starts with Google, and then they come onto your website, and they're also looking and determining what are your social media feeds. And that mistake to avoid is to not convert your subject matter knowledge into multi-channel digital marketing. What we're really recommending for senior attorneys is that if you're not going to convert your subject matter knowledge into multi-channel digital marketing content posts, please consider joining a growing law firm that would welcome the opportunity to do that conversion for you. It's not going to be your niece, it's not going to be your nephew, it's not going to be your grandchild. It is a marketing company that specializes in digital marketing for law firms today, because clients are expecting and looking for your content. You have that content in the form of subject matter knowledge, but if you're not converting it to digital marketing and digital content, you're just not going to be found. And if you're not found, of course, you're not going to be hired. And if you're not hired, then your book of business is not going to replenish as much as it did in yesteryear, and the value of your law firm is going to go down. Hence, that mistake number 4 that we recommend to avoid is to avoid not converting. Take advantage of that subject matter knowledge that you've worked so hard to develop over the course of your career, and convert it into digital content. In terms of the fifth mistake to avoid, mistake number 5 to avoid when considering selling your law firm is to just hope that tomorrow will look like today. And in terms of that 5th mistake to avoid is to hope that tomorrow will continue like today. We see that so often among senior attorneys. That is, we call it the status quo. That if today is like yesterday, then tomorrow will just be like today. Well, what happens though when a random Tuesday event happens? When we put that hope into tomorrow that will continue like today. What we see among senior attorney-led firms is that 2 random Tuesday events can happen that can significantly impact the value of your law firm. Random Tuesday number 1 is the unexpected departure of a key attorney or support staff person at your firm. Let's focus on a key attorney, which is typically your would-be internal successor. And as we pointed out with mistake number 2 to avoid, your would-be internal successor, who we are calling key employee lawyers, they really want a reliable, predictable, and safe job. And if they unexpectedly leave your office on a random Tuesday, your revenues will go down in the short term. It's difficult to replace key employee lawyers. And if they take clients with them as well, then the value of your practice could go down as a result of them taking clients with them. An additional random Tuesday event is the unexpected mental or physical health issue or even premature death of a senior attorney that is the founder, the rainmaker of the firm. And what we find in those situations is because of the necessity of trust transfer and law firm sales for the founding partner, the founding owner of a law firm, to transfer the trust of their clients to law firms to whom they sell their firm. If that founder is not there, if that rainmaker is not there, the firm's value unfortunately just plummets. And we'll show that in our next infographic in terms of how these two random Tuesday events, how they impact both the short term and the long term value of a law firm. That is, if we're hoping that tomorrow is going to be like today, which we recommend for senior attorneys to avoid that mindset, in the event of a random Tuesday, the revenues go down significantly. Why do revenues go down so much? They go down because you're not deriving the revenues from the clients. If you're not deriving revenues from clients, either because a key employee lawyer left or because the rainmaker attorney, the founding attorney of a senior attorney-led firm, is no longer practicing at the firm, hence the revenues are going down and the clients are no longer producing as much revenues for the firm, well, the overall value of the firm is going to go down as well if we're not able to sell that most important asset of a senior attorney-led firm, which is the book of business, the clients of the firm. So we really recommend for those senior attorney lawyers that are maintaining their status quo, just know that banking on hope that tomorrow will be like today could lead to a random Tuesday event that could significantly and negatively impact the value of your practice. So for today's buzzer beater, the top 5 mistakes to avoid before selling a law firm. The top the top 5 mistakes to avoid before selling a law firm consist of the following. Number 1, wait too long to sell your practice. Number 2 is assume that your internal successors want to purchase your practice rather than recognize that they are often key employee lawyers who want a reliable, predictable, and safe job as compared to owning a small business law firm. Mistake number 3 to avoid is to underestimate Google for post 2020 business development. Because if you're not found on Google, clients will not hire you. And if you're not hired, your book of business is not going to replenish as much as yesteryear. And if your book of business doesn't replenish as much as yesteryear, your overall law firm is going to be worth less because the most valuable asset of your practice is your book of business. The 4th mistake to avoid is to overlook converting subject matter knowledge to digital marketing content. You've developed subject matter knowledge in multiple practice areas over the course of your career. You now have the opportunity to convert that subject matter knowledge into digital content because today's would-be clients, they want to know, like, and trust their attorneys by researching them, reading about them, listening to them, watching them online before contacting them to retain them. And that subject matter knowledge that you've developed over the course of your career presents literally treasure chests of digital content that would-be clients want to review before they contact and retain you. And that 5th mistake to avoid is to hope that tomorrow will continue like today, because relying upon status quo could unfortunately result in either of the following 2 random Tuesday events. Random Tuesday event number 1 is that a key employee lawyer or staff person leaves your firm, which could negatively affect the revenues in the short term and the overall value in the long term. And a second random Tuesday event, which is just awful for a senior attorney and their family, of course, is in the event of the unexpected death or the inability to practice because of a physical or mental health issue. And if a senior attorney is not available to transfer the trust of the clients that you've worked so hard to develop over the course of your career, if you're not available to transfer the trust of those clients to a successor firm, unfortunately, the value of the practice just plummets. And that is the state of the market for law firm sales in a bit more today than 11 minutes.